Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thanks for joining us in another one here on the coach's desk. I just want to highlight a part of doping that I've not been able to see out there. I'm gonna be talking about the. I think I did a video on the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency already, but I just want to reiterate the point. Also, I want to put in highlight coaches that have actually faced sanctions, and these are sometimes persons that have gone under the radar, and persons not looking and speaking about the coaches who are actually messing up the sport. We have seen where several Jamaicans have been given 3 months, 6 months ban, 4 year lifetime and such the like. Yes. But if you check the levels and look into it, we oftentimes ignore what the role that the coaches play, even the therapist, because when Asafa and Sharon got in their issue, they attributed that to the therapist, and it has to be that thing that he applied on them. And it seems as if it was a grand scheme to get them in trouble. They eventually won the case, and they got a short term where that is concerned. But the fact is that I want to highlight some of the coaches that have been, you'd call it, sanctioned by the anti-doping agency. So the first one is Coach John German. He's from United States. Yeah, man. And Coach John German, 2012, 2013, he was given an 8-year ban for possession, trafficking, and administration of prohibited substances. And that is quite deep, where a coach can actually be preparing athletes to, get into the rhythm, get into the mind frame, adaptation to represent country on the international level, and they are doing some thing like this. Lee Evans, also another coach from the United States. His reason for whatever wasn't highlighted in 2013, but he was given a 4-year ban, right? Trevor Graham, United States again, coach, possession, trafficking, and administration of performance enhancing drugs, and assisting, encouraging, aiding and abetting anti-doping rule violations. He was given a life ban, right? And many Americans will say, oh, he's Jamaican. Oh, he's Jamaican. But when you check the list, he is an United States individual or citizen. Yes, he was born in Jamaica. He competed for Jamaica, but he went to the United States to start life. And I'm not even going to go into that aspect of the conversation, because that is some sort of deflecting, right? Another Jamaican coach, Ray Stewart, he was in 2010 trafficking and administering of prohibited substance. He was given a life ban as well, and the list goes on. But I'm just going to highlight those United States and Jamaican coach. Right? There's also another track coach in Alberto, Salazar. He got a 4-year ban because of what he did as well. He announced he went to CAS with his case. They threw it out, and a 3-judge panel has rejected the 2 appeals, one for Salazar and endocrinologist Jeffrey Brown, who challenged their 4-year bans and requests by the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency for longer sanctions. You get what I'm saying? So he's another coach from U.S. who was given a ban. Trevor Graham, let us touch a little bit on that. He was involved in the whole USOC, who banned him for, from all those training sites because of what was happening. A matter of fact, the USOC, the US Olympic Committee, they banned Justin Gatlin's track coach from his training facilities, making him the first target in newly amplified effort to quash doping in sports. So Trevor, who trains at 100-meter record holder accused of drug cheating, was barred indefinitely from all Olympics, training centers and sites in US committee chairman Peter Hubertus said. So he was given a lifetime ban. They had no mercy on Trevor Graham because of what he did. He was caught up in what they say is the Balco scandal, right? And you know, it is interesting because the World Anti-Doping Agency was, well, I'm not sure if that beef has been settled, but they have been having a beef with USAD. They call it USADA, right? And what the World Anti-Doping Agency is saying is that they think there's a scheme to be exposed by the USADA, right? And that scheme is they were doing some undercover agents to catch drug cheats. And I don't think if that makes sense. So, you know, several athletes were given a pass. They talk about what happened at what do you call it? What happened with Jadko, no testing for a period. But with this case, persons were tested and found to be positive, but they were given a pass. It's like they were doing undercover work. So the World Anti-Doping Agency has accused the US regulators of violating a global code. This is a global code they violate, you know, by allowing athletes who violated anti-doping rules to continue competing in an effort to catch cheating by others. That makes no sense whatsoever, in my estimation. And I can understand what WADA is saying, because you can't violate a code just to catch others. What are you doing? You have to put things in place to ensure that you catch the others. But these persons have to get banned. So WADA said the United States anti-doping broke the world anti-doping code, which all national anti-doping bodies sign onto, by using these athletes as undercover agents without notifying WADA and without there be any provision allowing such act to take place. Yeah? So this was a huge violation. There's nothing on the books that said that we can use these people. Right? Once you violate the anti-doping rules, you should not continue to compete. And not, if you want to catch someone, just let them tell you don't have to give them a pass. Right? So that in itself is a big thing. They were using them as what? Undercover agents. You have to notify WADA if you're doing something like this, you know. And they didn't. And there wasn't any provision allowing such a practice under the code of USADA's own rules. So they have no rule of that. But yet still they are doing that. And WADA said that it was aware of 3 cases which occurred between 2011 and 2014, in which athletes who committed serious anti-doping rule violations competed for years without their violations being published or sanctioned. And we can even liken it to the case with the oxtail man, right? He got tested, his thing didn't come out, and boom, we hear say he was vindicated. And I'm not saying that he's guilty, but I'm just showing you this is linked to what they are saying. Because even now his case was brought back to the court because they weren't satisfied that this athlete by just eating a meal of oxtail can find so much things in his body. You get what I'm saying? So this jug thing, it needs to be curtailed or it needs to be free up. Because if you take the jug alone, it cannot help you to run fast. You have to put in the work. And I mean, I think these agencies that have been put in place, it's just to have fairness in the sport. Because at the end of the day, even if something like this happen, that they free up the thing, it's who has the most money, can put in things in place to ensure that their athletes can get the best advancement in jugs. Jamaica would be left behind because our country can't match up to some other countries. So I think the argument and the conversation shouldn't be one-sided. Can't be talking about the US alone. We can't be talking about Jamaica alone. Yes, we are the sprinting powerhouses. However, there are other countries out there and there are coaches there who are doing stuff. So I don't understand why every time this conversation comes up, it's mainly about Jamaicans. It's mainly about Jamaicans. Come on. Let us try as best as possible to highlight. In recent time, see a Kenyan athlete was caught and suspended. And when you look at the ratio, Kenya has a whole lot of these suspension. Several of them. Nobody highlighting Kenya. What? It's because they only do middle distance. So, plus you have people who break whereabouts, people who do not want to, pass their urine and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know how the sport is gonna be able to curtail these things. And sometimes when you really look at it, sometimes the athlete them know and sometimes them don't know, But how are you gonna prove that they don't know? That is the thing. This sport is just filled with, or it's contaminated, and I know athletes take supplements, but then you have to ensure that the supplement doesn't have in any of those on the ban list. And then it's like, even with Asafa's case, when them check it, it never depend the product itself. When they check the thing that they got banned for, it wasn't on the product, if my memory serves me right with that case. So yo, anyways, people, I wanna drop on thoughts on this one now, man. But now I kill up myself about this. It just weird. But the sad part is that when coaches are actually involved in getting banned because they aid and bet and provide all of these things for athletes, transporting and all of these things, it's not a good look. Because when you should be engaging in getting the thing better off for your athletes from a scientific approach, then well, I guess them said it that the drug is a scientific approach. Anyways, people, peace.